Hey gang, how's it going? I am off to the cinema today to go check out Split.
He's done awful things to people and he'll do awful things to you.
It is, of course, from everyone's favorite masterful, critically acclaimed director, M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, if you're doubting that assertion, just look at his last 10 years of superlative films.
It's not real. It's not real.
Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together.
This mission has reached abort criteria. I take full responsibility. You did your best.
No! No, God!
Just no.
Shit! Alright gang, I just got out of Split.
I have a window in my room.
Maybe you could show us.
Oh, that's here. Now it's closed. Now it's open. Did you think it was a real window? So you could leave?
And I gotta say, this film utterly exhausted me. Not in a good way.
No!
Okay, I'm gonna preface my review by saying this. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I legitimately thought that M. Night Shyamalan was gonna be sort of the heir apparent to both Steven Spielberg and Hitchcock. He was sort of an effective hybrid of those two directors, and I mean, I proudly own The Sixth Sense and Signs and Unbreakable on Blu-ray. Unbreakable in particular, I think, is one of the better superhero films that's not actually a superhero film that was ever made during the decade that it got released in, if that makes any sense. I don't think there's been a director, unfortunately, that has had such a cataclysmic fall from grace as Shyamalan. And
What? No!
I mean, all you have to do is, again, as I sarcastically alluded to earlier, just look at his body of work since 2004. I mean, it's filled with like laughable stinkers.
Maybe people are setting off the plants?
What are you saying? That guy was crazy. We have to save them.
They're already dead.
So it's kind of like with each subsequent year, I've been like, okay, I'm waiting for Shyamalan to return to the glory days of his first three films, and I've just been, monumentally disappointed with each new film after the other. And then when we hit that period of The Happening and The Last Airbender, it was kind of like, do I completely write this guy off? Was the first three films a fluke? And there's so much press going on about Split. A lot of people are saying that this is his very best film since 2002 Signs. And I will come out on a positive and say this. Yes, Split is Shyamalan's best film since Signs.
Don't worry.
But when you really consider the context of his career since 2002, that's not particularly saying a hell of a lot.
He's not well. He knows that.
Split has an absolutely ingenious premise. I think it's got one of the best hooks for a Shyamalan movie, maybe since The Sixth Sense. And basically, it stars James McAvoy as this guy that suffers from multiple personality disorder. He has almost 24 personalities, and
I've never seen a case like this before. 23 identities live in Kevin's body.
basically one of his personalities decides to kidnap 3 teenage girls. One played really kind of thanklessly well by Anya Taylor-Joy. If you don't know who she is, she was in one of the best films of last year, in The Witch. She was also in this very problematic science fiction film that absolutely no one saw from last year called Morgan. She was actually the best part of that movie. I think she's a really fine young actress on the rise.
Yeah. Hey, pardon me, sir. I think you have the wrong car.
And basically, McAvoy's character, or shall we say characters, kidnaps these girls and basically keeps them in this vast subterranean twisted lair of his. And I think that's really all I could possibly say about the plot of Split, because I'm trying very hard to not engage in spoilers, which is going to make me discussing my criticisms of the film very, very difficult.
What are we doing here? What the hell is going on?
I was sent to get you for a reason.
One thing has to be said, that this might be one of James McAvoy's best performances in a movie. And I'm going to say performances, plural, because he has such an incredibly difficult thespian challenge in this movie. He has to portray all of these multiple personalities and make them somehow feel completely unique.
My name's Hedwig. I have red socks.
And every time McAvoy is on screen, you're positively riveted. He is the single best part of this movie. It might be one of the best performances, maybe in an M. Night Shyamalan film. So I'm going to give props to Shyamalan for getting McAvoy. McAvoy's so criminally underrated. If you haven't seen films outside of his recent crop of X-Men work, you might want to check out a movie called Filth that he did from a few years back. It's just a tour de force performance. I mean, and anyone's doubting that McAvoy is one of the better young actors of his generation needs to see that film, and absolutely needs to see Split.
Tonight is a sacred night. You will be in the presence of something greater.
I'll also say this about Shyamalan as a director. There are instances throughout this film where he does show some of the Shyamalanian, is that a word? Magic of old, and there are certainly a handful of sequences here and there where he does a very good job of drumming up tension and drumming up suspense.
The only way we're getting out of here is if one of them decides to let us out.
Aren't you the clever one?
And not to the unintentional hysterical levels that we saw in some of those previous laugh fests that he did from years past. He's got some of his directorial chutzpah back.
Someone's coming for you.
And one of the big problems with this film is it is way too goddamn long. It's nearly 2 hours. That I found kind of exhaustive, and it suffers from some serious momentum issues. It also has some serious scripting problems that I think are holding it back from achieving the true status of a bona fide Shyamalan comeback vehicle that we're all hoping, or at least trying to convince ourselves that it is.
A flower on the pillows, a flower in the bathroom, like we're important.
The only chance we have is if all three of us go crazy on this guy.
Who is that?
There's this flashback structure that's sort of shoehorned into the narrative that I think is kind of spliced into the film at really haphazard and odd times, and I think that really creates this disconnect in the movie. Then there's this other subplot involving McAvoy's characters, again I'm going to use the word plural, journeying off to see his psychiatrist. The woman that plays the psychiatrist, I'm sorry, the name escapes me, she's actually quite good in the film.
To whom am I speaking with now?
Dr. Fletcher, it's Barry.
It doesn't seem like Barry. Barry is an extroverted leader.
Yes, I am.
Every time the film cuts away from the teenage girls and their plight and into the doctor's office, and it creates this very weird and uneven disconnect in the film. And every time it cut away, I was like, no, I want to go back to the girls, and I want to go back to them trying to deal with the nightmarish situation of this dangerously unstable individual and his multiple personalities.
Who are you?
Help me get out of here, Hedwig.
You trying to trick me? I'll tell on you.
And again, it just doesn't create this homogeneous whole that works effectively with the film.
And you're not gonna like it?
And of course, no Shyamalan film would be complete without engaging in some sort of Shyamalanian, is that a word?
I'm not supposed to say.
And this film sort of has two. The first one, I think I can kind of buy, again, without going into spoiler details. That's all I'm going to say about that, and I'm almost kind of willing to dismiss that. But then there is a late-breaking twist, and I emphasize late-breaking because there was a lot of people actually leaving the cinema because it looked like the end credits were going to be rolling by. But no, there's this late-breaking twist that I think is kind of a cheat.
I see, now I see. That's clever.
At first, my first instant reaction is like, man, I think that's actually pretty damn cool. And then when I thought about it within the fabric of telling a completely original story and tale, I just don't think it really worked, and I found it to be really distracting. No. I just don't think it works. I don't think it works within the fabric of this film. I think it's really a form of bait and switch, which I don't really appreciate. I don't think it's genuinely surprising or genuinely shocking in the slightest. And I think it's sort of trying to undo all of the good things that Shyamalan was trying to do with this film. In a way, this film kind of angered me. But you know, it's not as soul-suckingly awful as the other previous films on Shyamalan's resume. I mean, it's certainly No The Happening. It certainly isn't as god-awful as The Last Airbender.
He's done awful things to people, and he'll do awful things to you.
There are moments of Shyamalanian brilliance in this film. I love the performance by James McAvoy. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic in this film, but I think it's just an undisciplined scripting disaster in some respects, and I just can't reconcile with the way that this film ended. And as far as this being the comeback vehicle of Shyamalan, nope.
All right. Well, see you later.
There you go. There's my review of Split. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film. Also, let me know in the comments below what you think of Shyamalan's career and what some of your favorite Shyamalan films are. Also, let me know what you think some of his worst films are, because trust me, there's a handful of really bad ones in there. Once again, thank you very much for watching. If you could like this video, I'd really appreciate it. If you could subscribe to my channel, that would mean the world to me. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you at the movies.